Hi, I'm Jonro David.
And I'm Sonny Atud.
And we're here to talk about the 70s. Now, what were the 70s about?
I think the 70s were about afros, druggies, drunks, hippies.
And all that good stuff?
Yeah. So on.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I think your phone may be ringing.
Phone's ringing?
Yeah.
Is it really? Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Hey, I think you're right. It is ringing. Hold on, let me pick this up. Hello? What? That's not what the 70s is about? Dude, I'm not getting paid enough. Please. Get interviews. That's too much, dude. Oh, okay. Whatever. Alright. Alright, ciao, dude. I'll see you later.
That the manager?
That was the manager, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
He wants us to get interviews.
You're not kidding me, are you?
No, I'm not kidding. He wants us to get interviews.
We're not getting paid enough, are we?
We're not.
Alright, so...
Gives us a raise.
Alright, so any suggestions?
Let's interview Mr. Lewis and Mr. McGarry. How about that?
That sounds like a good idea. So we split up?
Split up?
I'll get Lewis, you get McGarry. We'll meet back up here.
And then we'll recap what they think the 70s was about.
Alright, well, see you in a bit.
See you, dude. So here we are, walking to Mr. McGarry's. He's pretty old, honestly, so we're gonna be asking about the 70s.
So I'm here in the L building going to talk to Mr. Lewis, where we're going to talk about his own point of view of the 70s.
What he thinks about the 70s, what he thinks the 70s is about.
And what the politics were like. So
And
here we go.
yeah, wish me luck.
Mr. Lewis, what was it like living through the 70s?
I don't know, so long ago to try to remember the 70s. Like, what was it like in the 70s?
Yeah.
Big hair, big bell bottoms, big afros.
Mr. McGarry, what was it like to live through the 70s?
During the 70s, it was a time of really, really bad fashion.
Race relations were okay, they weren't great. The big thing about the 70s is that we still have a lot of the hippies. We still had the end of the Vietnam War.
Some great films were coming out of that era, but also some really bad television.
Race relations were getting better, and in California was a lot of just ignorance that people didn't know about different races, especially being African American.
There was some really great music and there was some really awful music. If you looked at some of the disco that was coming out, that was really awful. But you also had the birth of punk rock and the earlier days of what would later become new wave.
Stereotypes were big. Political correctness didn't exist. It was just a different time than now.
When you were young, did you really care about the Watergate Scandal? Or did you?
I cared that it dominated the television for a whole summer and that it just was on every day of the Watergate hearings.
At that time, Watergate Scandal was what? Mid-70s, right? Early 70s? I was still in middle school. I didn't follow politics that much.
So I remember that. I remember how it impacted the country. It tore up a lot of people.
I remember I just remember being a kid Nixon broke into something and took some stuff, exactly what was going on and how.
There wasn't any great state secrets that were going on in the Watergate or the Democratic headquarters. Nixon's big crime was that he covered up the actions.
So it didn't affect me very much at all, just that Nixon retired.
His real crime was he covered up the illegal activities of others. There was never a smoking gun, although there was an extended period of tape that was missing, but there was never that smoking gun saying Nixon was involved in the break-in, but he was involved in the cover-up, and so the fact that he was involved in that, he had to resign.
So following the questions about culture, did you enjoy any movie series or were you fond of a particular movie series around that time?
Well, it came out then, the biggest thing that came out was Star Wars.
I liked a lot of movies and there were some very seminal films. Star Wars obviously was more towards the end of the 70s, or came out in 77 I believe, and so that was and Jaws was about 76. So those sort of later half, but in the early part of the 70s, you had some amazing directors that were coming out.
We had a lot of disaster movies in the first one I watched was Towering Inferno. Now, first disaster, one of the first popular disaster movies that came out.
You know, so that's where you start to see, you know, of course, Lucas, you saw Coppola, you saw Scorsese.
I mean, the black guy always died in the movie. Black guy was never the hero for the movie, unless you're watching black film.
Film was looked more upon as an art in the sense that that was coming over from Europe, and these guys were coming out of film school. So these were the early days of film school graduates coming out into the industry and making their mark on the world.
She can't be strong, but she also has to be sexy too. They are still trying to fit those roles, those, you know, for the 70s, of what a female character is supposed to be and not supposed to be.
You had much more sexual freedom in films in the 70s than you did in the 60s.
But and so yeah, that's changed quite a bit.
It was a much more daring period in films. You had a much more mature topics that were also addressed in films.
Did you have any like artists or songs that you really appreciated? Or, like,
Oh, disco, baby.
really
Back in the 70s, I had I had 4 older brothers and sisters, so I was exposed to a lot of different music styles.
R&B and disco. A lot of the R&B from the 70s, some of the stuff, new stuff, I mean stuff from the 60s, some of the stuff from the 70s, Jackson 5, Temptations, Stevie Wonder.
Big fan of Queen, you know, and their music, which is more of a in the vein of Led Zeppelin, and but they took it in newer directions than just traditional hard rock or heavy metal.
Disco was, you know, what's her name? Dionne Warwick, Gloria Gaynor, Barry White, all the disco. Disco was huge in the 70s. It was just, you know, music.
Not into disco at all in any shape or form. I mean, there were some catchy pop songs, but I was not a disco person.
So here we are, back in our original spot to recap the 70s, what the interviews were about, such as the increasing in fear and cultural prosperity, such as movies and music.
In addition, the release of the first VCR, which allowed people to watch movies at their homes.
The VCR, it almost destroyed the music industry, the movie industry.
Music industry, wow, really?
No, it was the movie industry. But music, during this time, there were a lot more artists than I thought there would be, honestly.
Yeah, like Lewis talked about a lot about discos and how, you know.
Lewis
certain-
definitely talked. He loved disco.
Yeah.
He looked like the disco type of guy.
Yeah,
I can imagine him with an afro, honestly.
Yeah, who probably had an afro back in the 70s.
He probably did. And then he went bald because he's old. Right?
That's pretty messed up, man.
Anyway, this was the 70s. It was about the Watergate Scandal, music, and movies.
I think we learned an important lesson here.
Which ones?
The 70s sucked.
No, dude. The 70s was sick, okay? I want a disco. I want to dance. I want to have an afro, be a hippie, get drunk, do drugs.
Okay, where's the part where we get paid?
Yeah, someone call our manager, please.
Yeah? Hey, I'm here to talk about, like, our payment. Wait, what? He hung up on me. He hung
You're
up.
not getting paid? Call him back.
He hung up.
Call him back. You have his number?
He's not answering.
You get him.